you personally reinvented yourself as a former yoga instructor turned college professor turned best-selling author. You're also a mom, which I think is amazing. And for people who are generally unhappy and feel stuck in a job they don't love or a relationship that doesn't fulfill them, I really would love to know, just sort of going back to the central theme of this podcast, which is reinvention. Coming from someone like you, is it possible for someone to totally reinvent themselves from the inside out and sort of do that 180 in life?
Yes, you can reinvent yourself. And I don't even think of it necessarily about like sometimes if people think of reinvention, they think like, oh, you're discarding or disowning what was there before. And that's not necessarily true. Sometimes you're just building it to a new level. So, I mean, in my case, sometimes people say, oh, PhD, Columbia University, and they think of me as an academic person. Fair enough. I have been published in academic press and those kinds of things. And I was a college professor, but I didn't finish college till I was 29. I had a
Wow.
GED when I was a teenager. So yes, I share that because I do want people to know, yes, you can absolutely change and grow and you can and you should. And there's different unconventional paths. Like as you alluded to, I was a yoga teacher, which was great. And I loved it and I enjoy it. And I share mindfulness techniques in my book. Which, it's funny you mentioned that a person wouldn't necessarily put anxiety and healthy in the same sentence because I actually did reserve the domain anxietyishealthy.com and
There
it
you
will point
go.
people to the page of my book if they're curious about it. But anyway, I do share some of the yoga stuff there. And so I was a yoga teacher. That's how I was paying the bills, living in New York City as a young person. And I was enjoying it. But then through my work with yoga and doing individual lessons, because that was the best way to pay the bills, is you would make the most money on individual lessons. And the people who could pay for those were often very high functioning people. And they were interested in combining the physical poses with the mental goals that they had. And I got really into that work with them. And that was what inspired me to finally say, okay, maybe there is a good reason for me to finish college and get a PhD and become a clinical psychologist. That was like the whole reason for it, because I was very interested in that work. So, yes, I just want to share that as an example of reinvention, but also building on what was there before.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's why people tune into this show to hear stories like that and to know that it's never too late in life to achieve your goals.